Nagi versus Bachira in every single arc is what we will be going over today. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all. All right. Now, this topic is something I've been meaning to do for a little bit, just off the fact that these two kind of have had parallels since second selection. And, Bachira was also the person who eliminated Nagi directly. So I just thought it would be a fun and great idea to, how about let's compare them in every single arc to see before we got to that point who was the better player and who was the overall best in the upcoming arcs, right? So, all right, I'm not gonna waste any time. If you like content like this, I would recommend for you to like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And let's get into the first arc, which is first selection. Now, first selection, right? We get Bachira and Nagi. Bachira is an incredible dribbler and a passer, and Nagi is an incredible trapper. And at this point, he's a playmaker as well. In the first selection, prior to Nagi's awakening or kind of evolution to where he's playing at a higher level because Rayo's being like locked down, he was still probably the most unstoppable player on the field. Don't get me wrong, Bachira being able to dribble through all of Team V is great, but this is not a feat he can reproduce because they just figure out a plan to not give him as much space as he did before to do that. So Bachira has trouble showing out during the game besides that one play, while we have Nagi being guarded by everybody and he's still demolishing their team. Now, to be fair, Team Z does have weaker players than Team V, right? I'll agree by that. But at some point, I just don't think it would have mattered who was guarding Nagi. He just seemed to be doing impossible things. I think it's just narratively implied that he is the better player. Don't get me wrong. I think Bachira being able to pass, like he has really great key passing, and his dribbling is great. It fits more of a midfielder, and he can work as a midfielder. I also just think that Nagi can also make up for that with his godly trapping, and the fact that he was also able to entice Santetsu to a great play. So it's not like Nagi is just outright not a playmaker. Like after he awakens, he gets a playmaking mindset and he grows for the better, right? So I'd say that's enough to say that Nagi is the best player in first selection just outright, not even just better than Bachira, but he's the best player in first selection outright. So let's move on to second selection, which honestly is pretty interesting. For second selection, I'll be taking into account Nagi's episode Nagi feats because they are his most prominent. But first, I'll go over Bachira's feats. So once Bachira awakens or evolves in the Ren versus Isagi game, he is capable of absolutely annihilating and breaking down Chigiri, Baro, and Nagi several times over again before getting into a position to shoot and only being stopped by Isagi, right? But I do think that at this point, Bachira's dribbling is just like its own like anomaly. I don't think it can truly be stopped by anybody, which is why Isagi just tried to predict the shot instead of trying to stop his dribble moves. I think when it comes to dribbling in the second selection, he's taking it very easily. Bachira is also a pretty good striker. He's able to score on the standard block man. And on top of that, his passing again is pretty good. Ren indeed picks him from the first game because he's like, they could use his passing and his playmaking ability instead of just another striker like Nagi and Isagi. So you could say Ren deeming Bachira more valuable than he does Nagi and Isagi is already like a great argument in general. But as we progress through the second selection, we see that Nagi and Bachira were already slightly relative or on par in the Ren game. And then on top of that, Nagi then goes on to evolve several times against Hiragi and Karasu's teams. And my God. And it's pretty stated that he's way stronger than he was when he was fighting against Ren's team. And I don't think there's a major gap between him and Bachira. I just think that when you're playing with a team of Baro and Chigiri and he's forced to just play at a higher level and he can still pass and run 1-2s, his passing's not that bad, his trapping is better, his acrobatics is better. I also just think he has better feats with beating on Karasu, Atoya, and Kiora and Himazu. Karasu and Atoya in particular were higher ranked than Bachira, and we still beat them. I just think it's kind of we're kind of pushing Nagi being better than Bachira right here as second selection. But I do think that is mainly due to the fact of the episode Nagi feats. Without the episode Nagi feats, I think it's very clear Bachira does cap Nagi as he evolves and clears the entire team by himself. But Let's move on to third selection, which is the most lackluster arc in the series. Sorry, I just gotta throw that straight, but it is the most lackluster arc in the series. And for third selection in particular, we don't get much of Nagi or Bachira at all. We don't get much of Bachira at all, I don't think. Nagi is capable of trapping Yukimiya's gyro shot and scoring it into the net past Ryu, right? And I'm not gonna lie, that's like the only feat we really get of him. They still lose to Ren's team. I just think that he's relative with the other top six, and by the way, Botcher's not in the top six, so I just think it's not crazy to just say Nagi's just slightly better than Botcher right now. Botcher doesn't showcase any feats in the third selection, so we're literally just going off of his second selection feats and highballing them a little bit, and even then, Nagi has better um, showings and he's at a better placement right now. So I think it's not that crazy to say he's higher than Bachira in the third selection. That's probably going to be the quickest section of this video, by the way. Now going into Nagi versus Bachira in the U20 arc. Now, Nagi in the U20 arc is more of a passer and a playmaker after he scores his first goal. Like, he's just capable of like setting up Isagi in like some really great positioning. But his first goal in the U20 game was it was pretty skillful. He was able to do the turnaround shot that he does on the two U20 defenders. Although Bachira, on the other hand, was able to dribble past Aiku and just came slightly short of a goal, right? So I do think that in this case they are pretty comparable. Bachira gets really close to scoring a goal. Nagi does score a goal. Bachira is also one of their main users for passing. His key passing and his crosses are still used a lot, although they were intercepted for the most part by Aiku. I would say in this arc, I'm again leaning more towards Nagi as he is the more offensive and well-rounded threat, as he's still being marked and he can still set Isagi up in the best positions. And at that, his trapping can be used as a double-edged sword, and he was one of the players chosen to play up top with Ren and Isagi and really be in that lineup, like when running triangle passing formation with them. I just think it's like narratively being pressed, and like he has the feats and showings to prove that he is better than Bachira. Although I will say Bachira's dribbling will always be that anomaly that is always going to be better than most of these players' skills, as Bachira is fully capable of dribbling past Aiku and other defenders with ease in his monster trans. Same thing with Chigger. Like, Chigger's capable of doing the same thing. It's just like, yeah, he does have great offensive capabilities, but I just think in this game, in this arc, Nagi was just a more useful one, and Nagi had more prominent feats, right? But now we're into the final arc, and we will be splitting this one into two margins. We will be going early NEO and end of NEO. So first, starting off early NEO, we have Bachira, who is mastered the Lavinio dribbling style with the ball control and the monster tricks. And on top of that, he has the B shot. And the team morally operates around him and how he moves and how his creativity shifts during the play. So I truly do think Bachira in the first starter game is not anything insane. But I do think he's pretty capable of beating most people in a one-on-one. But we do see that Ness is capable of stealing the ball from him after learning his patterns. And on top of that, he only is able to score one goal this game due to the fact that he is playing against a Bastard, which is a better team. So I'll cut him some slack for that. Nagi, on the other hand, is playing a better version of Bastard and was able to evolve and awaken during this game, and which is why he's capable of doing the 5-stage revolver, the 0 reset turn, and things like that. I think that if we're taking Nagi at his peak right there, he's undeniably beating Bachira, just off the fact that he has more weapons now. His physique is better, and he's kind of harder to stop than Bachira at this point, because at this point you can kind of see Bachira's patterns because Ness kind of points out his weakness. But with Nagi and Rayo, it's hard to stop their agility 1-2s, and the fact that even with Kaiser and Isagi on Nagi, he was still able to score. It's just, I think at that point when you have two Metavision users on him, it's just not much he can do. Although the 5-stage revolver can't be replicated, I do still think that he could do something on this level 2 Bachira, clearly as day. And on top of that, I think that it's deemed more viable than what Bachira can do at this point, right? But now we're at the end of the Egoist League, And yeah, we already know how that went down. Bachira was capable of outplaying Nagi. I think he's definitely the better player. His dribbling and his passing was able to just carry his team. He scored 2 goals, and he made sure that he was the one who intercepted the pass from Nagi to Rayo, meaning that he was able to read Nagi and knew he wasn't going to score and anticipated that and stole the ball from him. So I think it's as clear as day that Nagi, at least at the end of the Neo Egoist League, finally just like succumbs to it and is like, yeah, no, Bachira beat me, Bachira won. So at the end of that, that's just really what that is. But I can't really compare them in the U20 World Cup arc due to the fact that Nagi isn't really present and Bachira is racking up feats like candy canes. I'm gonna be honest, that's just the truth. But that is the video, and I explained and broke down why Nagi is better than Bachira in some arcs and Bachira is better than Nagi in some arcs. But for the most part, it's kind of clear who was the better overall player when it came to most of these arcs. Nagi just has better showings and feats, but Bachira, regardless, was the one who ended it off being the better player, which I think is way more important, right? But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and expect very interesting content in the coming days, weeks, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.